We're going to start off talking about interval notation. Interval notation is a shorter way to write inequalities. Before we actually get into the interval notation, let's review a number line. A number line shows all real numbers. Notice that it has an arrow on both ends, and this arrow continues to the right. The largest number, or the concept of the largest number, is going to be infinity. The concept of the smallest number to the left would be negative infinity. Even though infinity and negative infinity are not actual real numbers, they're the concept of being the largest or the smallest number possible. Now, with interval notation, it's going to be important that we always write the small number represented first, and then a comma, and then the large number. The endpoints that we put on this are either going to be round or square. The round parentheses are going to mean that the endpoints are not included. The square parentheses are going to mean that the endpoints are included. So depending on which endpoint we have is going to depend on whether we use round or square parentheses. Since infinity and negative infinity are not actual real numbers, they are always going to use the round parentheses. And this is because, again, they're not an actual number, they're a concept of being the largest or the smallest number. So with interval notation, we're going to see that we'll always write the small number first, then a comma, the large number, and we'll put the endpoints on. Let's look at some graphs. This first graph we have represents the inequality x is greater than or equal to -5. To write this in interval notation, we'd say the smallest number represented on this graph is -5, and because the arrow is darkened in, the largest number is going to be positive infinity. The -5 is included. Notice it's shaded in on the graph, or on your inequality it has the equal to sign, so it gets a square parentheses. Infinity always gets a round parentheses. So from -5 to infinity would be how we represented the first graph. The second graph represents a compound inequality of -1, which is less than x, which is less than or equal to 2. With interval notation, the smallest number represented is -1, the largest number represented is +2. The -1 is an open circle or does not have the equal to bar on the inequality, therefore we'll use a round parentheses. The 2 is included, so we'll use a square parentheses. The graphs do not always have to be directly on top of the number line. Let's look at the next example. If we were looking for the interval notation, we would come up and say the smallest number represented on this graph is the -10. The largest number represented is going to be 15. So from -10 to +15, the -10 will get square because it is included. The +15 will get round because it has an open circle or is not included. These graphs can also go vertically. We're going to do the same thing. We always look at the smallest number represented. So if we come across, the smallest number represented is a -6. The largest number represented coming across to that axis would be a -4. The -6 is not included. It's an open circle. The -4 is included, so it's a square parentheses. One more example of this. If we look at this next vertical graph, the smallest number represented, if we go over to the axis, is going to be a -2. It will be a square parentheses because it's filled in or is included. The largest number, since this graph keeps going up and out, is going to be the highest number up here, which will be positive infinity. Infinities always get the round parentheses. Now, if we're going to talk about a graph of all real numbers, you can think about a number line that's totally shaded in. To represent all real numbers in interval notation, the smallest number would be negative infinity. The largest number would be positive infinity. And remember, infinities always get the round parentheses.